I've had too many negative experiences with ITJs. Any advice? Before I can answer, please consider subscribing to the channel so I too can have a fly land on my head and make me the internet sensation I was born to be. And hit the alert bell so you can get notified when I go live. That being said, what's up, ego hackers? Welcome to the CSJ podcast. I'm CS Hoodsif, here to respond to your questions on any topic, Jungian analytical psychology, or the four sides of the mind. And the source of today's question, it's actually different. No, really, it is. It's different, I promise, because it's from Reddit. So we're on Reddit. Weird. Especially with all the burning effigies about me. But hey, I decided to mix it up because Quora questions kind of went downhill in quality for a little bit. Trying to clean up my spreadsheet on there, and then I'm going to get back to them. But decided I'm going to do some little bit of Reddit because why not? Answering other people's questions with or without their permission is an ENTP's dream, of course. So, PlasTM asks, I've had too many negative experiences with ITJs. Any advice? They are claiming to be an INFJ when asking this question. Quote, not all ITJs, as one of my closest friends is an INTJ, and I've certainly met plenty of great ITJs. How do they know? However, I have way too many purely negative experiences with ITJs, specifically more so than other personality types. I wonder why. Speaking from my experiences, not the type as a whole, that would make me no better than what I'm about to explain. They're usually super stubborn, stuck-up individuals who are wrong about everything and seem to think they're God's perfect gift, who are always right and above all creation. Are you considering talking about FI child God complex at this moment? Wait a minute, are you an INFJ? Have you checked yourself for TI child God complex? I don't know. I don't know. It could be a thing. Maybe that's not the problem. I don't know. There's probably a floating question mark over my head right now. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. They turn every simple conversation into an argument for seemingly no reason. That's kind of more of a TI parent argument. I think you're probably projecting ITJs on mistyped ETPs. Just saying. Even those they are clearly weren't part of in the first place. Rant ended. The healthy ones show general stubbornness and difficulty taking into consideration information which conflicts with their own ideas. What? Introverted feelers are having subjective beliefs because introverted feeling is far more subjective than introverted thinking, but introverted feeling is far more objective than extroverted feeling? Wait a minute. So FI is the objective function of the FITE axis, with TE being subjective, but when compared to TIFE, and TI being the objective function of the TIFE axis, with FE being the subjective function, TI is still subjective when compared to FI. Wait a minute. How dare you talk about this on Reddit? How dare you? This is incorrect. No, wait a minute. It is correct. As an INFJ, oh, I love it when they do that. The healthy ones show general stubbornness and difficulty taking into consideration information which conflicts with their own ideas. But that usually chalks up to them taking valuable time to consider it instead of outright rejecting it and being a straight douchebag. Are you sure you're not talking about TI parents? I'm a TI parent, and I guarantee you if I ever came into contact with you, you would refer to me as a straight douchebag. At least I'm a straight one. Anyway, as an INFJ, that too, and by the way, I'm not against gay people, so like don't freak out when I say something like that. Like seriously guys, no. Like, and also people think like I believe that homosexuality is a sin. No, not really. The word in the New Testament is arseno kotowai, which actually means men who share many beds. It's a mistranslation. # do your research. Anyway, as an INFJ, that too describes a difference between healthy and unhealthy INFJs. Oh, so you're aware of your own innate, latent Templar hypocrisy. This is a good poster. I should probably want to read more. And I've been both within my lifetime. Thank you for the humility, good sir. I appreciate it. Also, let me clarify that over half of these experiences have been in the gaming community. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Okay, maybe they are talking about ITJs because ITJs, especially INTJs, that they're SE inferior, get so super competitive in the gaming community. Of course, that would make a lot of sense, right? Well, wait a minute. What about ISTJs? Yeah, they can be competitive, but not as much as an INFJ, and of course an INFJ would be, or an INTJ, and of course an INTJ would be complaining about how competitive an INTJ are because no one's more competitive than an INFJ, quite frankly. Which is known for the vast amount of mentally unhealthy people. Okay, are you really telling the gaming community that they're mentally unhealthy? I guess I'm mentally unhealthy because I play games, apparently. Thank you, TE Trickster, for that over-encompassing label. I'm sure you would be amazing to have political office. Oh wait, that's usually why INFJs don't have political office, because TE Trickster with these crazy labels, then how offensive they can come off and alienating people from their little pulpit that they preach from as they're trying to run for office, right? And I guess that's why we're stuck with all these philosopher types like ESTJs and INFPs in office instead, because, you know, they look more presidential, right? Thank you, Mike Pence, for your ESTJ presence, good sir. Anyway, I'm aware that in these, okay, yeah. But the ones I've had the displeasure of interacting with tended to rub me the wrong way, unlike other types, and are consistently and possibly stubborn and arrogant. Have you met INFJ gamers? Are you sure you should be saying this? I don't get it. Is there some dynamic that just clashes between INFJs and ITJs? Oh, yes, there is. How does their opinion forming process work? And how could it be flawed in an unhealthy ITJs? Are ITJs generally more prone to arrogance? Or does being unhealthy more easily lead into tendencies towards narcissism? Why would one rub the INFJ the wrong way in a conversation? Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. And if I was an ITJ, I'd be insanely offended by this post. Because holy smokes, thank you for invalidating my entire existence as a human being, PlasTM. I don't recommend you having these presuppositions moving forward about ITJs because, quite frankly, you've basically just alienated all of them. And now let me explain why. First of all, why do ITJs have a problem with INFJs? It's because INFJs have TI child, and that means they're very childish and innocent in their logic and in their thinking. So an extroverted thinking parent from an ITJ looks down on INFJs naturally and sees them as childish. That's literally what's going on. They literally see INFJs, you PlasTM, are seen as childish to ITJs. And therefore, naturally, through their human nature, not their nurture, nature, it is natural for them to label you and treat you like a child because in their eyes, you behave like a child. So they're going to treat you that way, and they're going to discriminate against you as such, right? Until, of course, you know, an ITJ with TE parent learns that there's a such thing as a TI child, and then they're not going to, through human nurture and that learning, they're not going to discriminate towards you anyway. But here's the bottom line, people. If you're in a friendship or around or in a relationship or in a family with somebody whose parent function is the extroverted variant of your introverted variant child function and vice versa, you will be seen as someone who is childish, and you will be treated by them as if you are childish. And that's what's happening. But apparently, you know, this INFJ doesn't understand that concept and is just quick to label ITJs for being narcissistic for that. And I can understand why they're coming to this conclusion that ITJs are narcissists, because if they have FI child God complex, they kind of sound like that, they kind of look like they're narcissistic. So I can completely understand where they're coming from that point of view, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're being narcissistic. They just value themselves so much that they forget to actually go out of the way to value others and show gratitude sometimes because they're not aware of what's socially acceptable. So it's kind of like they have the short end of the stick, so stop blaming ITJs for being narcissistic. Well, technically they can with FI child God complex, but it's not necessarily their fault. They have extroverted feeling trickster. They are unaware of social norms, so stop judging them with your FE parent. They're judging you as childish with your thinking, but then you're judging them as bad people, as narcissists with your TE trickster because you're incapable of labeling things properly, because they have FE trickster because they're not as socially aware as you are as an INFJ. How do you not come off as entitled when making that statement? PlasTM, could you explain this to me, right? I mean, come on. Like, I understand that your TI child needs to criticize people, and please continue to criticize people, but please understand the context with which you're speaking here, because this is really unfair to ITJs. Yes, you can call them narcissistic for when they're dealing with their FI child God complex, which can happen, although usually it's mostly on the INTJ side. I don't really see much FI child God complex often with ISTJs, because ISTJs are affiliative, always trying to do the right thing, and they usually stay in their lane, and they're not as competitive as INTJs. It's just that when you combine the competitiveness of extroverted sensing inferior trying to aspire and master any skill, and add that with their FI child, that's how they come off as FI child God complex. So maybe, TM, your problem is actually with INTJs and not ISTJs, especially since statistically you're likely to have a sexual relationship with an ISTJ anyway, because they're your superego type, and you have some sexual and emotional compatibility. Yes, they'll still see you as childish, but they're affiliative like you, whereas the INTJ is pragmatic. They're just going to be independent and do whatever they want regardless of the rules, and they will only follow the rules if the rules suit them. Whereas the ISTJ is just going to follow the rules like you are, because you, an INFJ, are a rule follower, right? Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? I hope somebody understands what I'm trying to say here. How does their opinion-forming process work? Well, that's easy. They just research. And because they're TE parent and TE hero, or, top two functions are TE, and they're both TE parent, they survey people. So they survey what other people around them are thinking, and then they use their FI child to value what all that data that they just collected to determine a standard of some kind, and they live their life by that standard. And that's how their opinion forming process works. And that's very healthy. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's not like you have a healthy opinion because you have TE trickster, and opinions come from extroverted thinking, and it's your greatest weakness. So I would suggest you watch out before you suggest your opinion, because TE trickster opinions alienate people. Because you're not aware of what other people are already thinking. And chances are you're sharing an opinion that people around you already have, which either makes you come off as super boring, or no one wants to stick around for that, or it makes you come off as fake or insensitive, because it's like, why aren't you already aware of what they're thinking, right? But you're judging ITJs right here for not being aware of how other people feel like you are. Hypocrite much? This is why I complain about Templars struggling with hypocrisy. You might want to watch season 17, right? A season 17 episode where I talk about Templar types, the Beta Quadra. Please watch that episode in season 17. Do yourself a favor. I think it's like episode 8, if I remember correctly. And yet, your next question here, could it be flawed and unhealthy ITJs? Yeah, it can be flawed if their survey process is flawed, if they're not following some semblance of the scientific method. But usually, the data that they're collecting should give them enough information to be able to form an opinion and thus a standard or principle as a result. It just depends on how much effort they put into it. But that doesn't make an ITJ unhealthy. It could just mean that they're being lazy. And an ISTJ is more likely to be lazy than an INTJ. And it's not that the INTJ is lazy. It's just that the INTJ doesn't even know what to do. They don't even know where to start. So stop judging them for that. It's not fair. Like, seriously, stop. It's not fair. Are ITJs generally more prone to arrogance? Well, yeah, if they have FI child God complex. But I'm sure, in my opinion, I think TI child God complex is far more arrogant than FI child complex. Like, seriously, you might want to check yourself in that area. Or does being unhealthy more easily lead into tendencies towards narcissism? Again, with the narcissism, stop. No. People need to stop automatically labeling FI child as narcissistic. It's sick and wrong. Stop doing that. That's literally child abuse to those people. Stop abusing their child. Like, stop. Why would one rub an INFJ the wrong way in conversation? Probably when someone is not listening to you. Probably when someone wants to abandon you in the conversation because you're alienating them and they don't want to stick around. And probably someone who's trying to go out of their way to take away your freedom of choice because they realize how irresponsible you are by having freedom to begin with. And they're telling others around you how they don't value what you think. And they never consider coming to you and asking you for advice because they're afraid of being alienated. I think that's how I would answer that question. So please, Plastium, get educated. There's plenty of resources here on this channel so you can stop making these mistakes. And I have full confidence in your ability as an INFJ to change for the better and for everyone else's benefit, especially the ITJs in your life, which there's a good chance they're actually ETPs and you're mistyping them. And to make sure that you stop mistyping people, I highly recommend going to csjoseph.life/discover and taking my personalities test, as well as distributing it to your friends and helping them work through the test so that you can come up with the appropriate answers as to which type they actually are. Also, make sure to read the instructions so you don't find yourself in a really bad situation during the assessment. That being said, folks, if you'd like your question answered on this channel, please post it on Quora, tag me, etc. I'm actually going to get like an official Reddit account where I'll be downvoted into oblivion, but I don't care. It just comes with the territory since they hate my guts on Reddit. And then also at the same time, if you want deep dive premium lectures, cash giveaways, and other really cool stuff relating to the science that focus on personal growth, career development, parenting, and sexuality, go to csjoseph.life/members and grab yourself a journeyman membership. We like changed all of the membership tiers and they're completely different and they're a lot more simple. And we basically just shunted everything at a $29 price point and saved you guys a lot of hassle and confusion. I hope you guys check that out and enjoy that. So anyway, with all that being said, folks, I'll see you guys tonight.